So everybody is talking about the Fractal Incursion event going on right now in Guild Wars 2. This is a huge patch. It has a lot of rewards for new players. It has a lot of good rewards for veteran players. But most importantly, it includes the introduction of the Quickplay beta or the Quickplay automatic group finder. So in this video, I intend on sharing my thoughts on the Quickplay beta, how it's going, as well as what I would like to see in the future of this feature and how it can be implemented into the larger scale, because as it stands, it is good for new players and people that want to get a fast and loose introduction to the content. It would not work in more coordinated group content. I have some ideas that could alter the way it is processed, and hopefully this feedback will allow the developers to iterate on this feature and implement it into other areas of the game. First up, if you don't know, the Fractal Incursion event is happening now. It has two elements, one that is temporary and one that is permanent. The temporary one lasts from now until October 7th, and the permanent one is permanent, right? So the temporary one includes a lot of rewards across the track. It involves grinding a lot of fractals and doing dailies and weekly stuff. This event is going to be iterated on week by week, so it's going to expand as the weeks go on. As we get closer to October 7th, it will essentially become easier to complete all of the tiers of this event. However, for the permanent portion of it, this is more of a collection and a little side story that is introduced to Guild Wars 2, which culminates with the reward of legendary gloves. Now, when you unlock one set, you do not get 3 sets. You might unlock the skins for the other sets. I'm not sure yet, but for the most part, you can get all 3 sets of legendary gloves through grinding fractals. It's essentially an additional fractal reward. With that, there is the addition of the Mist Omni Potion, which gives you a big damage and defensive boost in fractals. If you do not have the Omni Potion yet, you should definitely get it during this event. But with that, I want to turn my focus towards the Quick Play event and how it functions. First and foremost, I think it's good for new players. Obviously, you just jump right into the content. However, I think that it deserves more than just one button in LFG. I think that it needs its own UI tab, and it needs to be split up into 2 categories. So to explain these 2 sides, I want to put things directly. Basically, the group builder, you are the leader of the group, and you would assign basically what content you want to do, whether it's a raid wing or whether it is a particular fractal or set of fractals. And then you would also assign what you are looking for. And these would pop up as basically open slots that need to be filled by this quick play queue. On the other side, the join group side of the quick play would basically be an individual player assigning what they are doing or what they are willing to do. So if you are an individual trying to join a group and you would say, hey, I want to do wing 1, and then it would say, what roles do you play? All of them. Do you play tank? Do you play healer? Do you play DPS? And you would basically assign yourself those tags and then just hit go. It would allow you to be placed into the bucket of the build group. So the group builder would be you as a leader, basically opening up a bucket and saying, what do I want in this bucket? And it would be filled by the queue automatically with people that fill those roles. I think that is a much better way of doing this group building stuff. Right now, there is also no downside or drawback to this Fractal Quick Play event. You can just join and leave at your will, and it kind of griefs the group. There is no way to open up your group again to the Quick Play. So if you hit Quick Play and you get put in a fractal and maybe you don't want to do that fractal and you just leave it, you just kind of screwed over your group, because they can't just say, okay, like re-enter the queue, just fill these holes. I think that that is another feature that needs to be added regardless of the implementation, is the ability to open up your group to hot fill people that leave. So that is good if you open up this feature just in general, because if you have basically an LFG that is, say, 6 people deep and you have all the critical roles filled and you just want some bodies to fill out the squad, you can then just open it up to the queue and just have them autofill with people that are willing to join. I think that is a really good way of implementing this overall, and it definitely takes elements from the queuing system of MOBAs. So a lot of MOBAs, they will say, do you want to play support? Do you want to play jungler? And you basically assign yourself to a particular list, and then the queue fills it based on the list. I think that in a PvP sense, it's a little bit harder because there's MMR rankings and ELO and all these things that go into the algorithm. But in a PvE sense, you don't really have that aspect unless there is is some kind of power level or gear score on the back end that Arenanet has to leverage, where you can say like, hey, this person has a lower gear score, we're going to put them in this like overall group gear score. Maybe it's not visible to the public, but having some metric to say like, okay, this guy's full legendary, slap him into the group with all the other legendary players. That might be a way of mitigating some of the expectations and maybe make people more willing to play, or putting people with their appropriate skill level in a PvE sense. I think it was surprising for a lot of players to see this kind of implementation or this kind of UI development. There really isn't UI development, but there is back-end development that is going on to allow this kind of auto queue to exist, this group finder to exist. It's long overdue, and I would love to see it implemented even in its current state on things like dungeons. Dungeons are much like tier 1 fractals, where the exploration pass, even if you just want to open up a blank exploration dungeon and just say like, hey, I want to do Ascalon Catacombs and give me a group of 5 people. I think in its current implementation, this would work perfectly for that. Or even if you just opened it up to like, I want to do dungeons, and you just get dumped in a random one if you're level 80. I think that could work pretty good as well. I think it gets more complicated where you do need some self-reporting or some self-volunteering of information. Once you get into the actual squad content, that's going to take a lot more dev resources. It's going to take a little bit more work, but I definitely think it can be implemented by assigning a player assigned tag. So if the player is willing to tag themselves with certain metrics where it's like, I am a tank, I am a healer, I want 3 healers, I want 2 DPS, whatever, and you can fill these lists out of people that queue themselves into these lists, and then you just auto populate them into groups. I think it could work. But with that, you need to implement some kind of accountability. Like I said, with leaving groups and just kind of griefing your team, you should implement some kind of dishonor mechanic that gets implemented for lying. I mean, I know that most MOBAs have a report system that if you are BMing, if you're AFKing, something like that, you will get a message or you will get timed out. The PvP lobbies already have a dishonor system in place, so maybe you can implement something like that. If you grief a quick play or you grief a number of quick plays, you will get dishonored and you can no longer partake in the auto feature, the auto queuing feature. With that, I know this was kind of just a fast and loose. This was really unscripted. I just wanted to put out my thoughts on this event. I'm not the type of person that covers every little detail of every little thing. A lot of other creators are doing a good job of that already. So if you stopped by and heard me out, I want to thank you for watching. A big thanks to all of my subscribers, and a special thanks to all of my members who support the channel. Because of their support, I am doing a bunch of giveaways on my Discord server. The link is in the description below. And if you want to support the channel, you could either join as a member or use my referral link. I am an Arenanet partner. With that, thanks again for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.